Hey everybody, how's it going? It's the Daily Shooter, and I'm sure you guys are sick and tired of talking about the election by now, but I wanted to get in front of the camera, completely sleep deprived, and give you guys my opinion on what I think's going on, and how did we get to this point, and what can we do from here. This channel is proud to be supported by the Firearms Policy Coalition. Make sure you check that link in the description box, become a member, and donate when you can. Because when you hear something bad that's happened to the Second Amendment, guaranteed these guys are going to be the ones that are going to step up to fight it. So become a member, get that card, and join the fight to keep our rights intact. Also by the USCCA. The USCCA is one membership card that you need to have. Because if you ever use a firearm to defend yourself, the USCCA is just one phone call away, and they will be there to defend you. They will stick with you, and they will take care of you through the entire process until you prove your innocence. So go ahead and check the links in the description box below. Support both of those companies because they're both supporting you. Now, this is just going to be kind of a candid video. I'm going to talk to you guys. You guys can talk back to me in the comment section and let me know what you think about what's going on here. But I'm sleep deprived. I was up all night last night watching this election coverage. You know, started earlier in the day before polls closed. I'm flipping between different channels, trying to see, you know, what people are saying about different things and to see if there was anything early that would come in. And then as the night progressed, you expect certain things, right? You expect there's going to be this West Coast blue wall, right? So you got Washington, Oregon, California, and then you expect certain states to go in the East Coast that are going to be blue, and then you expect certain things in the middle that are going to be red, except for Colorado, which typically goes blue. But you kind of wonder, you know, with all the stuff that you see on social media and all the rallies and the parades and the, you know, the trains that are happening and stuff, you kind of wonder maybe we could flip Colorado or something like that. And so you watch it all progress, right? And then all of a sudden you notice that, holy crap, things are a lot tighter than you expected. I mean, there was a period of time where Texas could have gone blue. I mean, it was that close where I'm thinking to myself, if Texas goes, there's something wrong with our country. If Texas goes, there's an issue, a bigger issue at hand here that we need to talk about. And then you start looking at places like Georgia and other places that are typically red start to get closer and closer and closer. And I'll be honest with you, when Arizona turned blue, I got a little bit of anxiety. You know, I'm just a regular guy with a YouTube channel like you. I got a wife and 3 kids, and I'm sitting there thinking about my future, right? And I see Arizona go blue, and I did get a little bit of anxiety. I'm like, this is a very, very bad trend. Now, we'll talk about why I think all this is happening, but just, you know, my initial reaction to things is, how could there be this many morons in this country? How could there be this many people who dislike our country so much that they would like to see it switch to socialism? You know, that they don't like capitalism and they don't like the way things run so much that they're willing to basically throw that aside for a system that has been proven not to work. You know, even though the United States has existed for 244 years, you know, as a country that's run well and progressed to the point that it is today, the last bastion of freedom on earth, we're going to go ahead and throw that away in favor of socialism. Why would that many people across this country do that? And that's where my mindset was while I was watching this. How could I be surrounded by this many people that are willing to let something this great go down the toilet? All right, so let's talk about what I think is going on here. Now, first off, I'm going to tell you this. I do think that there are some shenanigans at play here. I've seen some really strange stats show up overnight. If you look at the ballots that were counted overnight and the charts and how the charts are reading and how a block of ballots was counted for Biden and not a single one of those was for Trump in the same time period. It's just this, you could see this like arch overnight, and it's just kind of weird, like in Michigan and Wisconsin and stuff like that. So it just seemed kind of strange. Nonetheless, forget the shenanigans right now. Let me talk about why I think this is happening as a whole, because I think that's probably just a small part of it. So I was talking to my buddy Cal over at Optics Planet, and I kind of told him what I thought, and I think that he mostly agreed with me this morning. And I think that a majority of the people that are voting for Biden aren't voting for him because they think he's going to make the country better. I don't think that they're voting for him because they like his policies or they think he's going to do a better job or that he's going to make the country somehow better. I think they voted for Biden just because they don't like Trump's personality. Now, I'm not a huge Trump fan, to be honest with you. He's been worse on the Second Amendment than Obama was. So as a Second Amendment supporter and somebody who, cares about our Bill of Rights, I haven't been a huge fan of Trump. But I do like a lot of his other policies, and when compared to Joe Biden, I mean, to me, there's no question who I was going to vote for. There's no question. But you have a large group of people who simply don't like the man's personality and will do anything and will be willing to sacrifice anything to get him out of office. It's not about what Biden's going to do or if he destroys the country or not. It's just that he is the other option to remove the personality that they don't like out of office. They hate the man so much, they dislike him so much that they don't care what happens to our country. They don't care. They hate him so much as long as he's out of office. Okay, it doesn't matter if Castro takes his place, they would vote for him. Okay, that's the amount of dislike that people on the left have for that man, that they are willing to vote for pretty much anybody else that you would have put on the ticket as long as it got him out of office. That's why you've been seeing all this stuff going around. People, they just can't handle that type of personality. To me, I don't care what the personality of the president is. I really don't. To me, it's all about policy. It's all about making the country better. It's about economics. It's about jobs. It's about making this country the country that it should have been before it was ruined for the past 8 years, right? That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for somebody who's going to treat the country as it was intended to be treated, by following the rules that were governed and written and put in place by our forefathers in the form of the Constitution. The Constitution is rules for government, right? It outlines what our rights are supposed to be so that the government can't impede on those rights, and also tells the government what it can or can't do. So as long as that person is in place and willing to make the country great within those parameters, I don't care what his personality is. I don't care if he's a total jackass. I don't care. What I want is something better. What the left wants is to completely ignore the Constitution altogether and install somebody who basically will just run their agenda, and then they'll just let it go through the court system in order to, delay it or give it time or something like that. These court cases take years upon years and upon years, in which case, usually, often, they're able to impose their will within that time. So it's pretty terrifying to know that there's that many people out there that just don't like somebody that much that they're willing to basically tank the country out of it. The other part is going to be people who watch the media, okay, the mainstream media that's out there, and they're just the type of people who just believe what they hear instantly. They don't have any free thought. They don't have the inclination to research things and look into things for themselves. They hear Jake Tapper say that this kid is a bad guy and he needs to go, and that Blue is a good guy and he needs to go in the office, and they say, yo, okay, that's who I'm voting for. Just like that. They hear these things and they watch it, and it just absorbs into the sponge and never gets processed. It just sits there, and then they go to the polls, and that's it. They believe what they hear without doing any type of research on their own or trying to gather other opinions from other people. I learned about both candidates. I learned everything that I could about both candidates on purpose. That's what I do. I think a lot of us on the right tend to do that. They want to see where everybody stands, right? But people on the left, they're mostly fueled by emotion, so that's what happens. Now, try and keep this in mind if Joe Biden wins. We are still Americans. We are still free people. We still have the Constitution. We still have checks and balances. The forefathers that wrote the Constitution were smart enough to know that something like this could happen. They were smart enough to know that. And so they wrote in those checks and balances to make sure that if something like this did happen, we could still defend our republic. They knew that one day things might change, and somebody like this and a party like this might come along and may try to change things. And so they wrote a way for us to defend our Constitution and our way of life into the rules for government. They weren't idiots. They weren't stupid. They knew what they were doing, and they had foresight enough to see the potential for something like this coming. So keep in mind, just because Joe Biden gets elected, if he does get elected, we don't know yet, still totally up in the air, but just because he gets elected or may get elected, doesn't mean that you lose your rights. Your rights still exist. They exist today, they exist tomorrow, and they will continue to exist as long as there are people that are willing to fight for them. This is not the end, even if he wins. So don't be discouraged. You still have rights. You're still an American, greatest country on earth, and it's up to us to make sure that it stays that way. Thank you all very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please like, subscribe. Have a great day.